All right, can you hear me better? Perfect. All right. I am going to quickly introduce us and then really frame this particular presentations that are coming up. I will start by first introducing Esther Kabanian Ishelia from Nigeria, who is the Vice President of the CEDAW Committee. This is an extraordinarily distinguished panel. Going into Elisa Williams from the LA County Chief Executive Office for Policy Development and Program Implementation, and Dubravka Simonovic from Croatia, who was the former chair of the CEDAW Committee on CSW and former Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women. Before I really start framing this conversation, I want to say that the leadership of someone is most visible when life is challenging, right? And at that moment, you can see if that particular leader is going to take action based on fear or courage. And I have watched Dubravka do that with courage. A quick snapshot of that is New York was shutting down on March 13th, 2020 for COVID. And we ran the first expert group meeting out of a hotel room that the UN had ever done on Zoom, right? And when even the UN shut down, Dubravka came into the US and ran that meeting. So thank you, Dubravka. This is an extraordinary time for us to celebrate CEDAW, right? It's the 10th anniversary of Cities for CEDAW. Thank you for the founder and the visionary, Sun Yan Yun. I want to start by saying that it is the 10th anniversary for Cities for CEDAW. It is the 26th year, an anniversary for passing CEDAW at local level in San Francisco, California. 44 years since President Jimmy Carter signed CEDAW in the United States, and 45 years since CEDAW was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. So, borrowing from Charles Dickens, we can say this is the best of times and the worst of times. But today, I want us to focus on the best of times, right? Cities for CEDAW has ignited a movement that has swept across 65 cities, counties, states, touching the lives of 80 million people. Right? Local does influence global, and global accelerates the local. Our distinguished panelists today will be moving us through local and global and really sharing in their remarks on how their vision, passion, innovation, and action has advanced women's human rights and continue to do that. So we are going to start with you, Dubravka. So the question for you is, why is CEDAW important to CSW? And what are your aspirations for CSW reform? And very specifically, if you can also touch on the Summit of the Future in relation to that. And each speaker will have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all. And let me start by congratulating Cities for CEDAW for this important 10th anniversary. Sun Young and you, Krishanti, for your excellent work in this area. So you posed two important questions. First one is, why is CEDAW important to the Commission on the Status of Women? And I would like to bring you back a little bit, because we are all meeting at a side event attached to the Commission on the Status of Women. This commission was established in 1946, first as a sub-commission of the Commission on Human Rights, and then after its first meeting as a sub-commission, women from that commission requested to be upgraded to full-fledged Commission on the Status of Women. That was granted by the Economic and Social Council. And from that time on, we have Commission on the Status of Women. And I would also like to briefly mention the mandate, how it was adopted at that time, because again, at the request of women that were leading CSW, the mandate was adopted to promote women's human rights with the object of implementing the principle of equal rights between women and men, and to give effect to this principle. So we are seeing orientation towards implementation of the principle of substantive equality between women and men. And for the first 20 years, this commission struggled with separate resolutions and conventions dealing with different areas of women's rights and discrimination. But then they decided to elaborate a comprehensive framework that would deal with all forms of discrimination against women. And at the beginning, it was declaration on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. So that declaration was first adopted as a soft law instrument, but it was not really strong to trigger changes at the national level in different countries. So very soon CSW decided to move on and to work on a legally binding convention. So we all know that after that in 1979, CEDAW as a legally binding framework was adopted. It was much stronger than previous declaration on elimination of discrimination against women because it had a very broad definition of discrimination against women, and it also established a treaty body, the CEDAW Committee, composed of 23 experts that were in charge to monitor implementation of the convention by its state parties. So we have seen during the years that now CEDAW is ratified by 189 states, that we are seeing how states are progressing with respect to implementation of this convention. I was glad to be in that treaty body for 12 years, and I was chairperson for 2 years. I'm very glad that we have also vice chair of CEDAW here and one former member here of CEDAW also in this room. And I'm really focusing now on this connection between CSW and CEDAW, because CSW was the commission that elaborated the CEDAW Convention. Now, if you look at CEDAW Convention, in the convention, you will see that although it is an independent framework, now in hands of state parties, there is a link with CSW that is calling Secretary General to submit reports of the CEDAW Committee to the Commission on the Status of Women. So all those reports adopted each year with recommendations, general recommendations, concluding observations, decisions under optional protocol related to individual cases are sent to the CSW. And where are they? They are not at the agenda. There is no clear link how CSW is utilizing those links and those reports. So this is a missing link. And now, just briefly to mention, the Beijing Platform for Action also included many important principles of CEDAW Convention. So now it is one way of universalization of CEDAW to the Beijing Platform for Action. Another way is this localization starting from cities from CEDAW. This excellent initiative in the United States that is promoting implementation of CEDAW even when there are no formal ratification by a state party. And this is also important progress that is leading us in the right direction. But let us now go to the second question: how should we think about future of the CSW in the context of the Summit of the Future? Now, states at the UN are discussing a document that will be called Summit of the Future, and they are changing multilateral system in order to improve different bodies and procedures and so on. And many of them are focused only on Security Council. Now they're a little bit also focusing on Peace Building Commission, but they are not really focusing on the Commission on the Status of Women. And fortunately now there is, after the lobbying, there is one sentence inside that document calling for revitalization of the CSW. So this is an important step. And now it is on us to push for real and full revitalization, to bring back this commission back to its original mandate. Because if we look now at what the commission is doing, we will see that the main outcome of the commission are one set of agreed conclusions. And those agreed conclusions are negotiated through 5 or 6 days by diplomats and so on. And basically what I have seen that in such agreed conclusions, there are no clear references to CEDAW general recommendations, to different regional outcomes and so on. So those agreed conclusions are not action-oriented, they are not really implementable, and they are not really follow-up of the Beijing. And the core mandate of this commission should be follow-up of the Beijing Platform for Action focused on its implementation. So now I'm looking at possibilities how we should really move in direction of implementation of Beijing Platform for Action and jointly, of course, CEDAW Convention. So it will be important to reform the CSW and to establish tools to follow up the Beijing Platform for Action. It could be something comparable to the UPR, but different. It could be done through expert procedure. Then we could also think about reform of communication procedure of the CSW, because this is procedure that is not working. I have also, when I was Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, proposed inclusion of violence against women as a standing agenda item of the CSW. We are seeing that violence against women is a huge problem in all countries all over the world, and there are no sufficient knowledge related to prevention of femicides and other structures that are needed to really combat violence against women. And inclusion of such agenda item would change the work of CSW, would change agenda and would change everything that we are having now. Then I'm also calling for stronger participation of non-governmental organizations. They should be able to commend their government's implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action, something like shadow reports or statements, something that would challenge governments. Now we are having governments that are coming here, many of them, and just presenting their statements. And they can say whatever they wish to say in a situation when we have whatever we have in those respective countries, and no one is challenging this. So we need accountability. We need to have objective picture what's going on in different countries, and we need voices from you coming from different countries, that your voices with full and clear participation. And then I'm also calling for stronger perspective that will be human rights perspective, connections with CEDAW committee, with Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, and working group on discrimination, 3 mechanisms established by United Nations. They are established by Human Rights Council, and the problem is that we are seeing now this division. I remember when I was coming as a chairperson of CEDAW committee or as a Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, I have heard kind of remarks, those mechanisms are from Geneva. No, those are universal mechanisms dealing with women's rights as human rights, and we have to have better participation of those mechanisms. For example, if you were here at the opening of the CSW, you have heard statement of the chairperson of CEDAW committee. But there is no interactive discussion with chairperson of the CEDAW committee. There is no interactive discussion with Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women. And also regional mechanisms should be also invited to present what they are doing. For example, Gravio on the Istanbul Convention, the SECRI and the Belém-do-Pará Convention, or Special Rapporteur on Women's Rights from Africa, or Organization of American States. They all have important things to say at this forum. And just last point, I think that we need to establish criteria for membership in the CSW, because up to now it is without any criteria. Any state could come in, and it is then arbitrary when they are expelling states also from CSW, what we have also seen. So I hope that in the future, this commission will come back to its origin, and by this it would strengthen the whole work of United Nations in this area. I'm also calling for elaboration of the optional protocol on violence against women to the CEDAW Convention. This is a new kind of initiative that will bring forward everything that was up to now done by CEDAW committee in this area, but also what was achieved at the regional level through regional instruments and also through the work of Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women. During this session, in opening statement of current Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, you have seen this call for the optional protocol on violence against women attached to the CEDAW Convention, but it is a long way to go. We need to see what are arguments that would really show that this will strengthen the CEDAW Convention and work of the CEDAW Committee and how we are bringing this forward. So I hope that you follow the CSW and this optional protocol to the CEDAW will move us in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Violka. That was a lot of packing you did for us in 10 minutes. I also wanted to let the US folks here know that the Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women did visit us in 1998 to look at violence in the US prison systems, violence against women in the US prison system, and the UN Working Group on Discrimination Against Women has also done an official visit. On to you, Esther. Now, you're keen to use digital tools to address gender-based violence and women's empowerment. Can you speak to the CEDAW Knowledge Hub that you have created and what you want to accomplish in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Krishanti. And of course, my salutations to Dr. Soon for having me here, for Dubravka, who were blazing the trail ahead of us. And I'm privileged to be on the committee at this point in time. When you talk about digital technology, and good morning to everybody, my apologies. Digital technologies, if you look at the evolution that we are witnessing right now, you find that the access to digital skills, knowledge about digital platforms, the very diverse and multidimensional functions that the digital world presents. We, from CEDAW, my experience from CEDAW, and prior to that, my experience from the Commonwealth Secretariat was that women were gradually being left out again. And we are witnessing now a new set of tools and a new digital world and a digital economy that actually women are not savvy about, women are not a part of it. And the metaverse, which they're creating now, a new world, which is virtual, and there's a lot of trading, there's a lot of recreation of visions and dreams. Women are hardly there. Women are not part of that new world. And there are real concerns that women could actually, there could be a reinvention of discrimination. And we see that a lot on the committee. We find that artificial intelligence is being used in ways that probably just ignore the realities of women. We find that both in the North and the South, women are not, central to the use of technology and to the potentials of technology. And so that's one of the things that prompted me when we had the 40th anniversary of the convention to actually work with stakeholders, with women, to convene a high-level event here, wanting us to reaffirm the centrality of CEDAW to all of the work that we do. And it was very well received. And at that particular event, it was agreed that CEDAW remains the universal framework. But the question is, how do we get everybody to understand the use of the convention wherever they are? Because like Dubravka said, the convention is like an omnibus convention that covers all areas of life. But usually people tend to pick out, areas of the convention, Article 1 and 2, you're talking of the Constitution, Article 3, all mechanisms, Article 5 or 7 or 11. But the truth is they are intersecting. We now have 189 countries signed up, and on the committee we see a lot of countries reporting, we have the legal framework in the Constitution, equality is guaranteed. But when you come to operations in terms of services, in terms of goods, in terms of infrastructure, you talk about trade, procurement, the expenditure framework. It's just not there. And looking at, because we engage really strongly around Article 3, and we find that the national machineries that are being created actually are just like shadow machineries. They have no authority, their hierarchy within government systems are very, very low, and they're often completely under-resourced. We're not talking now of budget, we're talking about human capacity to deliver, the right kind of officials, with the right skills, the right level of knowledge to be able to engage across sectors. We're just not there. So post the 40th anniversary, working within the committee, we tried to ask for a protocol, a resolution, but the pathways didn't look that clear. And we found that it might not be the best way. So working within the OACHR, we came up with the concept of the CEDAW Knowledge Hub. The hub is it's based on reverse engineering, that you can actually retrofit whatever is there. Understanding that creating new laws, creating new policies seem to be such a challenge. The resources to create it is not there. The capacity to, open up new spaces, we're getting narrower and narrower for gender. And so in the wake, when the COVID started, we actually piloted the CEDAW Knowledge Hub with UN Women and a few women's organizations from Asia and from Europe. And it was so well received. And then we worked with the Faith for Rights group, the Religions for Rights, based here in New York. And we found that a lot of civil society organizations didn't even know which articles of the convention that they were working on. They say we did on health, but sometimes they're working on health and education and labor, and they didn't know in their shadow reporting how to string all of that together and how to then hold governments accountable. And so the principle of the CEDAW Knowledge Hub is 3 steps. First is, of course, you do your analysis. You analyze the situation, look at where the gaps are, and the approach is to either design or redesign. So you take whatever you're working on, look for new entry points, make sure it intersects like 2 or 3 areas, use the tools that you already have, adopt and amend them, and then implement. And then you can be able to report better when you're reporting on CEDAW. There's been a huge uptake on the use of the CEDAW Knowledge Hub. It's been piloted by the Human Rights Treaty Body System. And right now we've worked with Religions for Faith, Religions for Faith for Rights Toolkit. And the last outreach was so powerful with traditional and religious leaders seeing the nexus between what they do, the Faith for Rights, and the convention. And we believe that with the Cities for CEDAW, it's just so easy. I had the singular privilege of being here in the UN as a fellow when the San Francisco research and work started. And I was so excited when I heard that how many years later, decades later, now 64 cities gaining grounds. And I am really, really thrilled because I focus on economic empowerment, Article 13, because it's so linked to all of the issues that we talk about, procurement, women's gender and trade, gender and property, that we find that if we're not able to weave all of that together and hold people accountable to the standards in CEDAW, then we are losing ground. With regards to the work in Nigeria, I've actually set up a digital hub in Nigeria where I'm training women, young girls, to know how to use technology, to report, to work virtually, to digitalize violence against women. So you can actually track, because that's where we lose a lot of the cases, is that people don't have the evidence. But when you're able to real time take the pictures, record, teach the women how to capture, gender-based violence instant, and to report that now to authorities, it was quite successful. It helped us in Nigeria to be able to get the cabinet to approve a joint committee on gender-based violence and mandate all sectors, because we're able to prove a few cases. And it's something that I think working on GBV, I think it's a game changer. If we're able to record maybe 60, 80, 90% of cases, conviction, We need the evidence, because that's where we often miss it, that you take the cases to court and then you lose the cases, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose of gender-based violence campaign. And just riding on what Dubravka said, when you look at the Future Summit and the fact, in the work that we've now started with UN Women, we're looking at the care economy and looking at where the gaps are, particularly as we deal with GR40. GR40, we released it, the draft is out now. If you go to the CEDAW website, you will see the document there. We need comments. We need feedback from civil society that this framework would actually provide a comprehensive framework to guide state parties in terms of parity in leadership in all systems, both the political system, the economic system, and all other systems. Because we find that it's because women are not there. Even in women, peace and security, that's why women pay for war. They don't make the decisions, but they're the ones that are hugely impacted. And we also believe that the new international financial architecture, we need to focus on those 5 pillars where the whole revolution is going to be built around. The first is the global financial safety net, and women there. We must keep our eyes on the ball. If that financial safety net does not capture safeguarding women's rights, then it means a whole new financial system where we'll be chasing after the system. Then private financial systems, what kind of regulations are they going to come up with now? How responsive are they to gender concerns? We need to follow that to be sure that we don't have a new financial system run by private sectors that is not well regulated and also drives inequality. Sustainable borrowing and debt. We know there's lots of research showing the impact of borrowing and debt on the lives of women and children day to day. It means the services, the goods, the interest rate are paid off by women. And so we must be able to have a say on how they are agreed, how they are shaped, what are the interest rates, how is it going to impact on women and children on a day-to-day basis. Public finance and public banking and finance. This is about procurement. We had the launch of the gender and procurement by UN Women and ITC. I was there. This is a piece of work that I started in the Commonwealth, I think about 15 years ago. And now it's become a global campaign. We need finances to really ensure that women get the big ticket jobs, because when they do, then they're able to finance a lot of issues that are pro-women. And the last but not the least is the international taxation system. I'm happy to say, with the engagement that we have in the committee, we actually have now a few countries who have gender tax codes that they build into the system so that tax credits, tax incentives are more responsive by gender. And if we're able to focus on all these issues, of course we have GR 41 on stereotyping coming up. We need civil society, and like Dubravka said, this is the first time that CEDAW is coming here to engage. And I think we need to work with the NGO group so that we actually create a platform, because we find there's a dwindling of CSOs who provide shadow report in Geneva because of the global financial crisis, the hike in tickets. So if we're able to work a modality where here CSOs can actually engage with the CEDAW party, with the CEDAW committee, and feed in into the reporting system and into the concluding observations, it would really be great going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Esther. I would love to spend the next 2 days with you. I just wanted to ask a quick question. How many of you here work on gender-based violence? Okay, great. So gender-based violence is an indicator of gender-based discrimination. Gender-based discrimination is structural and is designed deliberately, right? So if we are serious about ending gender-based violence, we have to really start eliminating gender-based discrimination, right? And the discrimination is really set on our labor, right? The women's labor is valued when it is paid or unpaid, whether it is formal or informal, right? And I think it's important for us to keep in mind to connect these dots as we go through not just CSW, but all our work, right? And I think to get us back to the ground, I want to turn to you very much, Elisa, to talk about Los Angeles. I'm very excited to have you and really to watch the work that is happening in LA. So my question to you is that the Women and Girls Initiative in LA County has developed a new gender impact assessment, right? As a way to implement really CEDAW. So can you speak to that and can you share your innovative approaches?
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Prashanti and Soon Young. Can you hear me? Okay, and Soon Young Yoon. I am to my esteemed panelists. I'm learning a lot just sitting here. So this is amazing. I want to give you a background of the Women and Girls Initiative before I get into how we're implementing CEDAW on the ground floor. But I can't do this without Caroline Torin. She's back there in pink. And I'd like you to come up here because she and I carry this out on the ground floor. We work with departments directly for 3 months for bi-weekly coaching. And Caroline is amazing at helping to carry this out. So she and I are going to tag team on this presentation, but I'll let you know a little bit about us, how we started, because people a lot of times when we talk about this, they wonder, how do you carry this out? Like, what is your mechanism? You know, who is paid to do this? How does this all work? So I'll give you kind of our evolutionary story so you can better understand how we got to this point. So in 2016, the Board of Supervisors in Los Angeles County passed a motion to establish the Women and Girls Initiative. And it was to lead to equitable outcomes for women and girls and recommend improvements to our services and to ultimately just create a better quality of life for women and girls in Los Angeles County. We were tasked at that time with applying a gender lens when the county acts as an employer, as a service provider, and as a partner. So during this early years of WGI, which we call phase 1, we were focused on the development of our strategic vision. We did a lot of research, we did a lot of community engagement, and developing recommendations for implementation, which now we're in the implementation phase 2, that started in May of 2022. And we had a governing council at the beginning portion, and we worked with their advocates in the community who they were appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And so they brought forth a lot of different recommendations that fall under a lot of our CEDAW ordinance categories. And I'm gonna go over that with you. Because in 2021, our board adopted our CEDAW ordinance. And there's a lot that our ordinance focuses on, so bear with me, but I'll let you know, just so you can have a global perspective. We focus on economic development, the elimination of discrimination, promotion and job security, equal pay, workplace protections and reasonable accommodations. It also covers caregiving, safe and affordable housing and transportation, support for public education and access to bank accounts and other financial services, which we've heard a lot about today, training for women in non-traditional career fields, and other training to re-enter the labor market, focusing on homelessness, gender-based violence and harassment, healthcare, justice impacted women, voting rights, and civil engagement. So in November of 2023, we began the implementation of CEDAW through our Gender Impact Assessment Program. And you'll hear me call it GIA as well. And that also was established by motion by the Board of Supervisors. The GIA board motion directs each one of our 39 county departments to establish gender equity goals in the areas of external services, workforce, and leadership, and to increase gender equity throughout the County of Los Angeles, and to advance data maturity, collection of gender data. Each of our county department heads are evaluated for their gender equity goals annually. This is a 5-year project, so they will be evaluated for 5 years after the development, or 4 years after the development of their goals. So where are we here? So I discussed with you our early years of WGI, and so we were able to do a lot of research during that time, and that's what you see up here. This is not all of it, but our strategic framework, we talked about equitable workplace, economic mobility, inclusive services, and community empowerment. And so, like the first one, guide equity in the workplace, guide to promoting gender equity in recruitment and hiring. Our human resources department developed a guide that we use a lot for our GEA training, and Caroline will share more about that. But what we try to do is have our departments look at their bulletins and their outreach and how they are addressing women, and if they're having gender neutral language within the bulletins. And especially in those non-traditional career fields, it's hard to get women to apply for them. So looking at ways to make that more attractive for women. And I think we have some examples you'll share in a few minutes. And then economic mobility, applying a gender lens to economic resiliency. We had a report on that. We have lots of reports, and you can go to our website and find all of our reports. And then this third bullet right here, inclusive services, community empowerment, diverting Black girls from the school to prison pipeline. So there was a lot of research that was done in partnership with UCLA to look at how Black girls are adversely penalized. They get more suspensions, longer suspensions for things that other girls of other races do not. And so trying to figure out kind of and make recommendations for how we can address that within our school systems. So those are the kinds of things we did in phase 1. But now we're in phase 2, that's what you're here for. So we'll talk about that. So our phase 2 began in 2022. And during this phase, just so you know, we've worked on such things as sexual reproductive health and abortion access. Los Angeles County is a safe haven since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. So people can travel from other states to access reproductive health care. We're creating a sexual assault council, and that's being established now. It's looking at funding now to begin that process. And then also we've done things like a pilot to provide feminine hygiene products and diapers for people that come or frequent our county facilities. So those are the things we're doing now in addition to this GIA, which is our flagship, one of our flagship programs. And also we have a speaker series where we talk about women in non-traditional career fields. So our GIA program is the largest of its kind in the United States. Thank you. The county, we kind of are in partnership with 88 cities. So we have the county structure. There are 88 cities in the county of Los Angeles. We have 10 million plus residents. Really, it's more probably like 12 or 13 million if we're counting everyone who resides in Los Angeles. And for the county of Los Angeles, we have 100,000 employees. So we're large. Can we advance the slide, please? You want to come on over?
Yeah. No, use that one.
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure being here. My name is Caroline Torren, and I am a consultant with Los Angeles County Women and Girls Initiative. I've had the pleasure to work with Alisa Williams and the team for about 3 years, developing and implementing our gender impact assessment program. Before I start, I just want to thank our previous speakers and the work that you do in order to strengthen the connection between CEDAW, CSW, and Esther. Your remarks is such a great segue to this presentation because Esther was pointing out the sometimes discrepancy between the ordinance or the resolution and the practice, our operations. And so that was what we really wanted to target when we designed the gender impact assessment program. We knew we could not expect the employees in our 39 county departments to know how to do this work. And we really wanted to set them up for success, to comply with our Board of Supervisors board motion. And so that was what we had in mind when we developed the gender impact assessment program. So you see, our goals here was to train, build the county's collective capacity to conduct gender impact assessments. We also wanted to strengthen their capacity to collect and assess data by gender. As we all know, there's a global gender data gap. As it relates to the Sustainable Development Goals, we know that we need more indicators, gender indicators. So this was a key priority, and it was highlighted in our board motion, the focus on data. We also wanted to achieve systems change, and Esther, I think this was what you were pointing to. We wanted this program to result in better, well-designed programs and services and internal processes. We wanted this program to result in services that are gender responsive. Now, as Alisa mentioned, the very kind of end result of the deliverables of this program is that after we work with departments, we work with them for about a 3-month period where we coach them on a bi-weekly basis in gender impact assessments, really facilitating discussions on how gender norms, gender roles, gender bias, how it plays a role, both at home, in the workplace, in the communities. And we help them add it to these areas that you see in front of you. So the data collection, the external services, workforce, leadership, and family-friendly policies and practices. And what's so key with this program, as Sunyoung mentioned, this is the best part, is the fact that the accountability and the reporting is streamlined into the county's standard evaluation processes. It's not in silo, it's not silent, it's integrated. And so our departments and the department's head, they need to report on the progress on their gender equity goals on an annual basis. And of course, after the 5-year, our goals that we develop, they need to be able to achieve them within a 5-year period. So it will be a larger kind of evaluation after 5 years. Now we have a bullet here that says collective accountability. One of the best practices for us that came out of this program was to really group the departments into different cohorts and have them present to one another. When we work with, now we're coaching our last cohort, cohort 6, we invite departments that have already gone through the program to present to cohort 6, to show them, here was our process, what it looked like. Here's what our goals look like. And in order to kind of enhance coordination and collaboration between departments, we were also very intentional with how we grouped our departments. So right now we are coaching all of our public safety departments because there's a lot of coordination overlap that needs to be done. And I will let Alisa talk about our best practices.
You have time, so you have 1 minute if you get that.
Okay, we've got 1 minute. So these are the factors that make our GIA or GIA program successful. We have others too, but like Caroline said, they all kind of work together as a team during their cohort for these collective meetings that we have. So we have one every month during the 3 months. And so each department, they work in their teams to also give presentations at the end. So we have to get the buy-in of departments as we go along at the onset, throughout the process, and even at the end. We have the hands-on coaching that we do, which is very helpful. Caroline talked about that. The presentations and their reporting out is very helpful. We have training videos, and Caroline talked a little bit about kind of deconstructing these notions of gender roles. And so we have a lot of really good examples that we use, and we ask them to apply that to their work, and then they start to see how it impacts their lives. And we see things, assumptions that we make all the time, and don't even realize it, about why things are the way that they are. And then we have learnings applied immediately to the department's process because we're working with them, we're coaching them. So they're learning and they're applying it as they go. We have GIA teams that represent various departmental functions. And then we have positive, and I just really want to highlight this, a positive, supportive space that's available for them to learn. We give them reassurance. We make sure that they don't feel like they don't know or that they're bad or they're wrong. We want to make sure that they feel like they're supported and that they're doing well as they're making strides towards greater gender equity. So I know we're out of time, but I just want to thank you for giving us this platform to share this with you. Thank you.
What an extraordinarily powerful ending to everything we have talked about, because it has gone from this broad space of gender equality to really looking at how deliberately we could design gender equality. So thank you very much for that. And I'm passing it on to Sunyan now.
Thank you so much. So,
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
just for space.
Okay, instructions, yes, okay, I stay there. Yeah.
Well, give you one chair.
No, you stay there.
the raffle, Jessica. So how many of you in the room have participated in a Cities for CEDAW campaign? 1, 2, 3. Come on, Gail, I know you.
Yes.
The hand is up.
All right, so there was a video that Jessica made before she did all this, in which she explained what is this campaign in 3 sentences.
Oh, 3 sentences. Okay. As we all know, the U.S. is the only industrialized nation in this world to not ratify CEDAW, which is shameful. But cities across the U.S. have taken it upon themselves to say we are committing to CEDAW. 1998, San Francisco was the first with Krishanti Devaraj. 2014, the NGO CSW New York launched the Cities for CEDAW campaign, shepherded by the Women's Intercultural Network with Gail James. We have so many amazing Cities for CEDAW advocates in this room. And counties and states. CEDAW now covers over 82 million people in the US. So just wanted to highlight that kind of bottom-up approach to implementing CEDAW. How's that? Perfect. Okay.
Now the lottery, do the lottery.
Okay, any outstanding cards that need to be entered? Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right, we have 10 handbooks to hand out. Elisa, may I ask you to do the drawing?
No, sure.
All right. I mixed them up.
Okay.
So you can just call out a name.
All right.
All right. Get in here.
And you can come up and get it. Okay.
Okay. Gloria, sorry. Kim Cam?
Yeah, Gloria, Kim came.
Gloria,
From where?
Center for Women in Development and Public Policy.
What city or county?
This is
From
Ghana.
Nice. Is Gloria
Yes,
here?
she is.
Next.
All right. Karen Dasha from Hope Advocates Africa.
I like it. Good time. Okay. Jessica, you should. do this. Oh,
Okay. Abradon Unengbe. Leadership Initiative for Youth Empowerment Life. All right. Julia, can't really make, I need my glasses on. Julia, I think it looks like SCHO, and I can't make out the rest. Army, Health, Africa, something, the Netherlands. Of the Netherlands, perhaps? Okay.
You're gonna come this way. We're doing pictures with all of them. Come.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, there you are. Okay, all right. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, is that it? Okay, stay here, Jessica. Okay.
Laya, Nadaria. Naya Nadaria. Caucasian
Nadia, come and be with Jamaica. You know her already. This is great.
So former CEDAW expert.
She's a former CEDAW
Hey.
expert. Thank you. Okay.
But I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are.
All right. Hope, and I can't really make out the last name.
From Almana Hope Foundation, a widow's window.
And
From
Africa,
Lagos?
Hope.
Okay, all right.
You can take
Grab a book and come over. Grab a book. Grab a book. Thank you.
Go. You have to take a picture with you.
Okay, all right. Where? Here?
Yeah.
Thank you. Now with Elisa, come on.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Nina Cord.
Nina
All
Cord. All right. Cities for CEDAW advocate from Toledo.
Toledo,
She's from Ohio.
Okay.
All
All right.
right, we got 3 more.
All righty. All right. Go for it.
I got one. Okay. Asha. I can't really make out the last name. New York, New York. John J. WMU.
Yes.
Over there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
Okay,
right.
only 2 left. Okay, Lori Petrie, the Episcopal Church in Chicago, Illinois.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Last
Okay.
one. Attention.
Okay. Bose. Women's Rights and Health Project.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. You're good. You're right with this. All right, with the sign, with the banner.
Let me go this way. So.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Nigeria, Esther. She's some Nigerians. So next time, please come. So that I can take this message. Oh, yeah.
When you're done, then just you wait, because I need your pictures.
Do we get the photos? Yeah, Renata will send it. Renata's there.
Yeah, let me, can I, okay. Thank you. Well, let me take
So our panelists are going to stay here because we have no other seats for them in the room because we're sold out here. I would like to do a lightning panel where we're going to talk about some really interesting solutions to problems we're facing in the campaign. And this is where you get to learn more about innovative tools. Can I ask Nancy Brumeau, come on up here, just like over here, just come over here. Right, you're just gonna hold your name thingy. Benita, are you in the room? Benita, come on up. I'll pass it over. Okay, all right, just hold your name thingy. From Toledo. Yes. Okay, Benita, Nancy, we got Jessica, Jill Fallows is right here. Jill is from Fairfax County.
Yeah, maybe.
Santa Clara County Women's Commission. No, stay there, we're fine. It's only 2 minutes. Right, okay, so these guys have developed really interesting solutions. And I'm going to ask, first of all, Nancy, so how do you make politicians accountable? You've done something really interesting called the CEDAW Challenge. 2 sentences, what is it and how can they join it?
Awesome. Thank you. CEDAW Challenge is available online. Just go ahead and type it in. It's basically an online petition where we are asking our elected officials and appointed officials to sign on to their belief and their support of gender equality. And then we circle around, we come back to them with either the commissions on the status of women locally or other human resources commissions. Senators, absolutely. We have all the way to the top levels of elected officials. And then we go back and we ask them to actually do something, to bring it to their boards, to agendize it, to vote on it, and to start implementing it. So please join us in the CEDAW Challenge.
CEDAW Challenge. Okay, working with the private sector and businesses. We had somebody start something called CEDAW Companies, but here Benita from Toledo, who is the Gender Equity Manager of the City of Toledo, Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, works with businesses. And I remember when I was in Toledo with your mayor to launch the Cities for CEDAW, the Women's Business Council also launched their work. So tell us about working with business.
Yes. I have to give credit to Nina, who's over taking video of me right now, because her organization, Women of Toledo, has done a lot with women's businesses. But at the city level, we actually did a disparity study to do some research and look at our contracts with the city for small veteran and women-owned businesses. Of course, disparities were found. I won't get into all of that. But as a result, we're actually revamping the whole process for contracting with, in our case, women-owned businesses, eliminating barriers such as, for example, the amount of time it takes for businesses to get paid out, which we know can be a huge barrier for smaller businesses. we're actually hiring someone as well specifically to mentor businesses who wish to do work with the city. And so those are some great advances. I think that will allow more women-owned businesses to have access to city contracts.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have Jill Fallows, who is with the Human Rights Special Interest Group from Fairfax County. She is a lawyer, and she, being a lawyer, is really interested in how you address the opposition, which has been increasingly showing up at our hearings, as a matter of fact. So she has actually written a local workbook or a briefing to address the local opposition voices. So Jill, where can we get this, and what do you want to say about it?
Thank you, everyone. It's follows, FOLLOWS. I follow the leader, and this is what I'm doing today, following the leaders in this movement. Fairfax County has 1 million people, and when a group of 11 NGOs got together to propose a CEDAW resolution, we started getting negative, biased, misinformed information coming out of our leadership, our elected leadership. And then we started looking at how we can convince people in our organizations to step up and speak out when they were either frustrated by this negative, biased information or fearful of being uncomfortable having to deal with this information that comes at you rapid fire when you're not prepared to give the best answer. Because it's usually a day later when you're in your kitchen when you say, aha, I know what I should have said yesterday. So we started collecting the negative, biased, misinformed, outdated statements by lawmakers across the country and put them in a chart. And on the left side of the chart, you see all the misinformation. On the right side of this chart, you see proposed answers that are persuasive and fact-based. We called this counter moves, and we even went so far as to put into a video. So you can see a reenactment of a board of supervisors putting together addressing a resolution for CEDAW and how they respond and how you can respond to them. I don't know if Ashley Ravichet is in the room or if Savannah Mappelli is in the room, but they are two of the actors who are in the video. All of this information can be found at HRSIG.org, Human Rights Special Interest Group.org. So you'll find the chart, you'll find the video, just look on the tab at the top that says Our Work, and then click on Presentations for the CEDAW trilogy. It's all.
In which she plays Eleanor Roosevelt, by the way. It's on the Cities for CEDAW YouTube channel, and we organize that. So now we can actually all move around the room. We have something called the candy mixer. So we are going to give all of our panelists candy that they can give you if you say something brilliant. And you can approach anybody, talk to them. Let's just do a 15-minute mixer, and you have the floor.
How about we spread out? I'm gonna go over here. Anybody that wants to talk about implementing CEDAW in your local jurisdiction? I would love
Okay, Jessica is CEDAW youth. Sorry about that.
It's just I wanted to share quickly an innovation out of Miriam College in the Philippines called the CEDAW Youth. It is a group of students at Miriam College who decided they wanted to bring awareness and promote women's leadership. So they started a CEDAW youth group on their campus. They're the only one that we know of in the world, so they are ready and willing to help other campuses start a CEDAW youth program. If anyone's interested, come see me. They made a great informational video that I can share with you, and I can share their contact information with you as well.
We have scissors.
Okay, now we can mix and eat candy.
Yeah, we're sharing it with anyone who wants to ask questions. Have
Everybody gets candy, but I don't see any here. This is going to be such wonderful viewing. Everybody's.
No. We're going to school up in Idaho. I'm from
So I went to the yes, my suitcase is kind of heavy and I will also have to repack it later on. The form is so there are some empty spaces on the other side. I was right. And I don't want to yes, exactly. I have to and I don't want to leave without saying goodbye. I don't want to leave without saying goodbye to it's always kind when it's right in fact, but on the other side, it's crisis it's always difficult. I have also two parts in my body when I have things like that. As long as just fine. Good, thanks. I didn't realize you were still here this week. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm the president. I feel obliged to be here for the entire time. Yeah. So you'll see me around here. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 8:30, and we will have an IAW event at 12. Tomorrow? Yeah. Here? In this room or somewhere else? In this room. Oh, okay. At 12:30. Multilateral approach to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. Empowering women and building peace and foster sustainable development by accelerating gender equality, which of course is enormous blah blah. But we have speakers for our peace commission, including one who's going to zoom in from the Democratic Party. Well, you know, I just found that when you want something? Hi! Closed captioning with Google, you can translate whatever language you want. I have translated captions with them. I bought that for my organization. Nice. Yeah, I set up speaking language English, translated captions French. We tried it out last week. However, my speaker, she has to put her computer on speaking language, translated captions English in order to read the English on the screen for the non-French. Wow. Okay, so it's not as easy as it looks. No, we thought it would be in it would recognize the language and change it. I know, but no, it's still stupid. Translate their stuff into English. The person who's speaking has to say closed captioning in English. Yes. And then what do you do from the Zoom meeting that's going to the Zoom program, which she is on our Zoom program. She will have her computers in French. She's speaking French and will put the translated captions on the bottom of her picture in English, and that will beam from that computer onto the screen. So if I were just a participant, I put closed captioning and say I want. Nobody else is going to have the Zoom. Everybody else is in person. Got it. But she's coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Bandwidth problems without it. I know. So everybody else is in person except for you. You have the money to fly from a war-torn country, you know? fees and all that stuff. So she's zooming in and everybody else on the panels are gonna be at the table. And when they speak, the computer will be picking up from the microphone the English and putting French captions at the bottom for anybody in the room who prefers French. Because we've got a bilingual organization, and when I was Secretary General back at the beginning of this millennium, I made sure that we did more with French, and now I make sure we have translations during our meetings.
Excellent.
Hi.
It's good to see your connection with the league.
I know. You know, I want to put on, I think when we have our national convention in June, I would like to do one specifically on CEDAW. Because I don't think that enough leagues understand. We have people here with our delegations that are in CEDAW. You know, so I think that that's important. But
I think she's trying to put together
yeah, so I know that the UN observers want to put out, have an hour, so we wanted to highlight the SDGs and the work that we've done, and actions, those actions that needs to take to connect the dots between the SDGs. So things like actions that needs to take service.
with the connection connect the dots. There is a briefing book that connects the dots between the leagues and captains. That is with the human rights
So I know that Ashley yeah, so we had a little miscommunication.
Yes.
Somehow she must have been siesta, so when she put in something that siesta, and then she started and I was like, she's got that mixed up with